I'll just give a quick, if any of you know Rent TV, rentv.com, we're a news and media company for the commercial real estate industry. I was a broker with Cushman and Wakefield 25 years ago, commercial CRESO partners before launching this 25 years ago. And we do news and information every day on the website, Rent TV. We have our newsletter, which goes out to about 50,000 people. And then a lot of people use our emails list to advertise lender services, space, different vendor services. And then we put on our events. Our next one is, like I said, August 17th, our Greater LA State of the Market. Different than RNEs. We work together on these, but different than RNEs, which is lender focused. We have a finance panel, but we also, what we focus on, which is my strength, is people in the market, the deal makers in the market. So it's leasing guys, acquisition guys, developers with their names on the door. We have panels for retail, finance, multifamily, industrial, office, and industrial. 5 panels. Did I get them all? Industrial, multifamily, retail, office. And it's 4 or 5 top level folks in the local market. And then we also have the review, the video site, which was just kind of a crazy idea to create one website where people could find and watch, put their own videos in, and just create a growing library, searchable library of videos for the commercial real estate industry, instead of trying to do Google and try and find them in all different places and go to different YouTube and websites. One place where you could search for and find videos all based on categories. So with that said, that's a quick Rent TV view. Why don't we, hey, Victor, why don't you take it and tell us a few minutes about your business?
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Steve. My name is Victor Jacobs with Community Commerce Bank. Our bank's been around since 1976. We're a direct portfolio lenders that specialize in doing commercial investment properties throughout the state of California. Our target borrowers are individuals, trusts, corporation, LLCs. We do loans to newly formed entities, and one of our niches for nonprofits. We specialize in doing commercial loans and loans to nonprofits, to religious organizations. We do multifamily loans. We do quite a bit of different things. We do commercial, office, retail, light industrial, places of worship. We lend to vacant buildings. We lend to owner-user buildings. On the vacant building, we use market rents to get our debt service, and use forecasted do performance to see if it debt services or not. We're a smaller bank, so our loan limits are from $50,000, which is really small. We go up to $4 million. All our loans are 30-year fully amortized. We have fixed terms of 3 years, 5 years, 7-year fixes, and none of our loans have balloon dates. They're all fully amortized. One of the good things is we're able to pay anybody up to 2 points in all our transaction. We can pay you as an individual. We can pay you as a corporation, DBA, any way you want to get paid. Since we're in our charter is an industrial bank, we're able to pay anybody in any way. Thank you, Steve.
Excellent. Peter, you're next.
Hi, I'm Peter Myers with Farmers and Merchants Bank of Long Beach. We are a regional bank with geographic penetration into Los Angeles, Orange, and Santa Barbara counties. We do lending on the commercial real estate side, both owner, user, and investor. Our actual emphasis is on the investor property side, which is why I'm here in this group. We do retail, we do industrial, we do office, even though office is kind of poo-pooed on. We're still doing some of the B, C market office stuff. Max loan to value is a conservative 50%, and our debt coverage is a conservative 1.45x. But that keeps us out of trouble with pretty much everybody, including the regulators. One of our key pieces is we never, ever have a prepayment penalty. So in this current market with higher rates, you don't have to worry about going to refinance and having a stiff penalty to get out, because we're not going to stick it to you. It's no prepayment penalty. And currently, because of the recession and the current economic market, we do have compensating balance requirements and a full deposit relationship requirement. Peter Myers, Farmers and Merchants Bank.
Excellent. The next one I got, I'm just going on the videos on my screen. David, you're next. David Flamer.
Good morning, everybody. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
My name is David Flamer. I'm a CPA out here servicing in offices in Agoura Hills and Channel Islands Harbor. We've been involved actually in the commercial real estate area for a long time, servicing our clients that are developers, operators, and more or less transactors of their properties. A lot of it is in the owner-user area because of the incredible benefits that we can obtain for our clientele, and utilizing the tax law the best way we possibly can to provide safe but aggressive strategies to preserve capital, because tax is a significant draw on working capital for any operation. So we get in touch with our clients. We like to train our clients, and in the end, try to provide some solid solutions. You know, right now it's incredible from the standpoint that we're still seeing a lot of 1031 transactions, a lot of what I will call California outbound transactions, especially as owners retire from their businesses and have real estate that they no longer want to operate. So it's been a very interesting ride, and I'm here to help you or any of your clientele that may have issues, concerns, and looking for a solution in this area.
Excellent, excellent. Meredith Hart, you are next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Hart. I'm a senior associate at Shepherd Mullen. I am almost to a decade of experience, both in-house and at law firms. Our firm offers full service for our clients in all areas of legal need. We're an international law firm with offices all across the country and in major cities globally. For our clients, we represent real estate clients, and we do pretty much anything they need, from acquisitions, dispositions, JVs, reorganizations, financing, and workouts. And so we're pretty broad scope, and our major clients have pretty diverse assets, from hotels, office buildings, retail. We have a client that does a lot of residential purchasing and sales to developers. So pretty broad scope. And we're seeing a lot of activity still in the market, with loans coming due and properties that are still able to be purchased and sold even in these times. So it's been pretty busy throughout this year.
All right. Well, don't give too much of a tease on my next
I have to give my little legal caveat that I'm required to give, which is I'm not providing any legal advice today. And nothing I say will form an attorney-client relationship, and nothing I say or you say to me will be considered privileged or confidential. So thank you.
Excellent. All right, Chris, you're up next. All right, pronounce your last name for me.
You got it, man. Karaguzian.
Karaguzian. I was going with the soft G. Karaguzian. All right.
Yeah. Arnie was close. He was close.
All right.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being on. And again, thanks to Arnie setting this up. I'm excited for that new event coming in August. That's going to be a really cool venue. Again, Chris Karaguzian here. I'm one of the co-founders of HWML.app, Help With My Loan. Prior to opening this company with my other co-founders, 20 plus years in the industry. I've worked at Wells Fargo, JP Morgan. I've done US Bank, Coldwell Banker Commercial. And, we saw some of the issues in the industry of getting brokers and banks and lenders, from, private money, hard money, insurance lenders, traditional bank, and SBA. We made an AI that encompassed all of that into our software. Brokers and lenders sign up to use that automation for commercial real estate, residential, business loans, and personal loans. It's full spectrum. We have over 300 lenders in that database, and it compromises loans from as small as 20.
I think Chris
and personal with all the subcategories.
Yeah, you were freezing a little bit, Chris, on us over the bay.
Oh no. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, now you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So I don't know where I lost you, but I'll just say basically
Last two sentences.
Oh, perfect. So again, 250 million is the max we go, with all the subcategories beneath those: commercial, residential, business, and personal loans. I would say our users, 45% of the time, are using commercial real estate. We always continue to see that uptake, 30% residential, another close to 25% on
Is that a
Lost him
little-
again.
Well, I'll move on.
just pay a
Well,
subscription for it. We don't take any of the commissions. Thanks, guys.
All right, excellent. You are coming in and out a little bit, Chris. So we'll let you know when that happens. So I have a little bit of a
Thanks, guys.
script here that I put together, ready to get at these guys. But if any of the other participants have questions you want asked, put them in the chat room and we'll broadcast them to the whole crew. So let's start with Meredith. You started answering my question, but the first question, I think what most people want to know right now is, given what we've seen with interest rates, although, inflation, the last numbers are that it's, coming down a little bit, and with the pause that we've just seen, but with the rise we've experienced, how is deal velocity or business velocity that you're experiencing, and where is it coming from? So why don't you start with that?
Yeah, so I'm noticing a lot of our clients are REITs, and a lot of them are heavily invested in the office market. And so we've noticed some of the shorter term, low interest rate loans that they got during the, pre or pandemic era are now coming due. And so a lot of our deal activity honestly has been trying to do refinances, and then now avoiding defaults, workouts, anything we can do to kind of get through this period where office markets are getting slammed. So there's been a lot of that. There's been a lot of trying to help our clients get large tenants into those office properties when, companies like WeWork are no longer taking up multiple floors of an office building in New York. And so trying to find alternative tenants to keep the business flowing. And so I think that's where I'm noticing a lot of deal activity from our side. We also are seeing, hotels are still buying, and, companies are still buying and selling hotels because that market seems to be recovering quite well after the pandemic. And so that's an asset class that I think is continuing to see growth.
On the office side, are you mainly working for the ownership group? Do you also do some work for the lenders?
So I do exclusively borrower side. And so our clients are the owner operators of office buildings. And so we're unfortunately not in the we're not in the good position right now, as opposed to the lenders. It seems like the lenders seem to have all the leverage currently.
Well, I did want to get into different sector discussions later in the conversation, but obviously, it's tough to avoid that one, predominantly, if that's what your business is in. Scary times for the office, but we will return to that and get people's thoughts and the panelists' thoughts. David, tell me about your velocity and where most of your business is coming from these days. Oh, you got volume.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now you're good.
Okay, sorry about that. We're seeing, what's interesting is we've kind of allowed our practice to fall into kind of a niche basis, and when you do that, what's neat is that it's sort of incestuous, because the same type of clients tend to refer the same type of clientele. And so what we're finding is the ability to invest in new properties certainly has decreased, because cap rates change, and we have the inability to borrow the money the way we used to do so. And as a result, I'm not seeing clients refinance properties in order to invest in new and different real estate activities. So what we're seeing is a lot of solid operation. Most of our clients' real estate portfolios are what I would call pretty targeted. A good example is we've got a pretty significant manufactured home community operator as a client, and that money is becoming a little bit more expensive to pursue, and so what we're finding is their investors have the liquidity to go ahead and invest in new properties and new developments. Their MO is to find distressed parks and bring them up and get new residents, and they get a lot of backing by the local municipalities because they want to see the whole area brought up. They do no development in California. Everything is what I would call Rust Belt areas is the best way that I can put it. But that said, they're having great success because they're basically saying, you know, if the banks are going to have trouble lending to us, we'll just come up with our own funds, and it's working out. But we're also finding that as time is going on, clients are that have been hands-on aren't super interested in managing their properties anymore. I mean, it's not an easy business depending on the type of property that it is. So there can be issues in that regard. But I mentioned before, people are doing 1031s. Tax rates on the whole are still relatively low. And what we're finding is, sure, you may have some that has low basis property, but when we get into the different issues with regard to pursuing a 1031, especially if there's debt on the property, we got either ante up with cash or pick up some additional debt. That's becoming expensive, and so we throw the alternative in of, hey, you know, what is it going to cost you to cash out? And some of that is actually happening. So a lot of different things going on there in the owner user space. You know, we found a lot of owner user situations where the property is certainly a triple net property because that business is picking up all of the operating expenses of that property. You know, there's a lot of a lot of tax practitioners that will say, well, you know, that triple net property doesn't allow you certain tax benefits under the qualified business income rules, which was that 20% you get to basically deduct. But we're finding that you just put all these together, you put that triple net property and that operating business together, and we can pick up some additional tax benefit there. So there's a lot of things that are going on. What's key is to have the ability to investigate and look at things and try to come up with the best opportunities for the client.
Right, and having clients that are, you know, have the cash, have the capital behind them to be flexible is key in this time. Certainly,
cash is king, always has been. It definitely is now.
Right, Peter, why don't you tell me? I mean, you kind of answered it earlier. We didn't have the crowd that we do now, but for the activity you are getting, I know you're going to tell us. You know, it's down for most. You know, where is that coming from? Yeah,
you bet. So during 2022, Farmers and Merchants was doing transactional type deals, pumping up our loan volume hugely because we had a whole bunch of PPP deposits that were in our portfolio. As the markets changed and depositors moved towards treasuries and were a little scared of, you know, keeping too much money in a bank, we had to pare back that lending. And so now today, if you look at what we're doing at Farmers and Merchants, it's about 80% handling our existing customers, handling their maturities, handling targeted new opportunities for our existing customers. And then we're looking outside with new deposit and lending relationships where we'll look at very targeted specific deals that we really, really like. So if you've got an industrial property that's low loan to value out in the Inland Empire, we'll take a look at that kind of stuff. If it's you know, a nice B office building in Orange County, we'll take a look at that transaction, but it's got to be on a full relationship type of transaction. And of course, when we're doing that with no prepayment penalty in this high interest rate environment, our deals tend to be pretty attractive to clients, and our structuring is very creative.
There you go. All right, Victor, you're up. Tell us about Velocity. You're mute.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, the things that we're actually seeing right now are we're doing a lot of refinances on deals that have call dates or ballooning right now. So all our loans are 30-year fully amortized. We don't have any balloons or call dates and any of our deals. We're seeing a lot of different types of deals right now, multi-families. The offices were a little bit more conservative with the market the way it is right now. And, we're seeing our deals, we used to go up to 70% all across the board, and we're just a little bit more conservative right now. We're going 60% on most deals. Offices is a hit and miss depending on the location. We're like around 55-60% on those. But majority of our deals are, we're just a little bit more conservative on our approach. One good thing is that we do all our, our underwriting and everything up front at no cost, just to make sure that before the borrower spends any money, we know what we're giving the borrower. We give them the terms, the estimated loan amount that we're going to do, and make sure that they're okay with it before they move forward on it. But yeah, we're the main things we're seeing right now are just a lot of refinances on balloon mature accounts coming up and some purchases. But
So your volume in terms of business activity,
it has slowed down, but and the deals that we're getting are pretty much they've been shopped around by different lenders, so we're getting some of the bottom of the barrel kind of deals, but we're trying to make it happen, with the deals that we are getting.
excellent. Chris, I think we passed over you because you were freezing a little bit there, but tell us your deal velocity right now compared to, over the last several months with the rise in interest rates, and where is the most of that activity coming from?
Hey guys, can you guys hear me? Connection?
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why some of my connection today's been.
Yeah, we may have to skip you.
Sorry.
Give it a little try.
All right, let me give it a try. And then I might have to see what's going on and jump off it and come back on. But basically, yeah,
Hey, Chris, do this. Turn off your video and you'll be able to probably do a lot better, and then come back on when you're done.
Okay, guys. Yeah, good idea, man. Thanks, Peter. So yeah, we've seen, as far as deal flow, production, we just continue to see shifts like everyone, refinance. Rarely, I would say maybe there's 2-3% of our users still doing some refinance out there, mainly in the commercial real estate space and business space. Residential, I think it was like 0.05%. So definitely seen, like everyone, the huge drop in refinance. Production increase, we've seen a lot in construction. We're seeing, man, I would say almost 55% of our platform in the subcategory of commercial construction and residential construction. We continue to see, about $5 to $20 million deals happening on our platform, and the brokers and banks connecting on that. So that has actually been the biggest increase we've seen from our users. There's just a lot of construction. I know, especially with residential, a lot of depending on your city, they're really urging you guys to build, different small properties or something in the back, convert this garage real quick. Like the city of Pasadena, you don't really need anything to change your garage right into a studio or a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. They're really encouraging it. I think the application is only $200. That's all you have to pay, and you can convert it to a rental. So, little applications like that. So that's kind of what we're seeing a lot. Construction, commercial, residential. Purchases, it's still happening. We are seeing an uptick of first-time buyers. So, some of the subcategories in residential, we're also seeing about 28% of deals that our banks are being matched with the brokers using the platform is first-time buyers, and that's because we know the program, and then we're talking to the user like, okay, talk to us about this deal. So we get and collect data like that to kind of monitor the market ourselves. So I would say those are our top 3 things we continue to see in our space of users on our platform.
Excellent. I think we got everyone on that question. My next question, given that we really have kind of mostly a lending environment, I think on this, on Arnie's call, mostly, brokers and people involved in the finance. It seems like we're at either at the peak or close to the peak. They just paused, and we're getting the hints that maybe there's 1 or 2, maybe quarter point rises left. Is that the general consensus from the 5 of you, that we're kind of near the peak of the rise in interest rates?
Yeah, I'd look, Steve, for pretty much another 0.25%. I don't know that we get even another one after that. So I think 0.25% is about the max we're going to see. And then market's either going to plateau or slightly decline as we allegedly go into a recession.
And I think that's the general consensus for the most part. With that, nodding heads, agree on
Yeah,
that?
I agree.
Okay,
Absolutely.
if that's the
I
situation.
don't have video, so I would say yes. That's absolutely what
Well,
we're
you're
seeing.
smiling in your picture, so I'm taking that as a yes.
There you go, Steve.
If that's the climate we see for the next couple quarters, how is that going to affect the business that you're in and your clients? You know, what do you see as the challenges that are facing them in that situation?
You know, Steve, this toughest part of this is you've got loans that are maturing, and all of a sudden you've got a deal that was a 5-year deal. 5 years ago, they were booking those deals at 3 and 4%. And now all of a sudden you're at 8.5. If you got to go see Mendel, you got a 9% kind of deal, maybe even 10. And when you're up in those ranges, all of a sudden your debt coverage is falling apart, and that creates a problem. And it's one of the reasons in particular, if you look at the CMBS TREP reports out there these days, all of a sudden the TREP report used to be, maybe, a half an inch thick. Now it's 4 inches thick, and you've just got deals all over the place that are becoming troubled assets.
What's the solution for a lot of these? What's the end game? What's going to happen?
It's going to be a lot of injection of cash. So you're going to have to take on equity partners. You're going to have to look at maybe harder private money lending type lending situations in order to be able to bridge this gap. If you can make it with a Farmers and Merchants Bank, you can weather the storm at these higher interest rates if you qualify for our kind of transactions. And then, as interest rates fall, that's the point when you take advantage of those falling rates with our no prepayment penalty and be able to get back into a better deal.
Right. I want to shift to Meredith on this topic because you're like front and center in the sector that's absorbing a lot of the oxygen in terms of challenges. Where do you see, as given this climate that we expect over the next couple of quarters, what's the end game for a lot of the office owners that you see out there?
It's been tough, I think, because the past 12 months have been predicting, the end of times. Like where they're at now, I feel like the sentiment has not seemed to change. I mean, I'm probably the most on the outside of it because we react to whatever our client strategies are, and they're very different. But I noticed the sentiment has not changed, and I feel like people are actually picking themselves up and continuing on. It's almost become a new normal, and this, hopefully, I think a lot of our clients are hoping it stabilizes so that they can continue to predict what to do next. And I think, just trying to make sure the cash flow is what I have noticed has changed, is trying to understand and predict cash flow for our clients has become much harder in a sustained period of unpredictability. So I don't really know where it's going to go for our clients. It's it has gone off of whatever we've predicted for years, and now it's just kind of every day it's a new challenge.
Do you hear a lot of your clients discuss different sectors? We keep hearing more and more about office to multifamily, things of that nature. Have you been on the front end of any of that?
Not as much. I think a lot of our clients diversified between, the good era in the 20 teens. And so I think obviously they are all concerned about their office properties and how to figure out how to continue to make those profitable in a time where they're, struggling. But I think a lot of reliance on other types of assets, like the vacant land. A lot of our clients have held on to vacant land and master planning communities for quite some time and trying to sell those off and create value there. And I think, like I said, I've heard a lot about hotels and a lot of interest there. Multifamily is obviously the biggest opportunity area that I hear from a lot of clients, is how to get into that space, how to expand in that space, because those rental incomes seem to be pretty stable when nothing else is. So
right. Although it's a challenge, very few actual physical office buildings that could actually make it through, to become, usually it's going to be a tear down, I think, if the building.
yeah. We have a client who's been on the front end, sort of the cutting edge of that, and is converting office properties in distressed areas to live works. And it seems to be successful, but we don't deal as much in the intricacies of the land use and, dealing with the cities. We have other counsel in our team that works on that, but I think that's the biggest challenge to the conversion is how to work with the municipalities in order to, fix the zoning and transform those properties, much less the challenges of physical construction in that kind of a asset. So
Right. It's definitely an interesting topic and one that I think is, going to become more and more relevant, over the next year or so. So let's pass it around. Victor, I don't know if you've come in on this, but assuming, this climate for the next couple quarters, what are you advising your clients and what do you expect, to see going forward if rents stay relatively stable, rates stay relatively stable?
Yeah, it's kind of like what Peter said, the thing that we're having trouble with is the debt service ratio. A year ago, we were able to get a little higher loan amount with the lower interest rates in the fours. And today we're in the sevens, so what we're doing is we're just on some of our deals where it converted into a variable rate and the rates have gone up. We're doing modifications where we're not looking at the appraisals, we're just looking at the borrower's income, the ability to qualify, and fixing that term for 3 years or whatever the borrower wants to do, and with the hopes of the rates going down in a couple of years, which I don't know, who knows what that's going to be, but yeah, that's kind of what where the market's at for us. We're just having a tough time debt servicing right now and lower LTVs and some of our borrowers are doing seller carrybacks, to try to get the gap of the down payment. So it's just a strange market right now for us.
Interesting. Any topics that you guys think are relevant at this point that, I have my script, but, always want to go off script or grab a question, from the audience. Anybody at this point? We did get one question, which I'll inject in here about AI. That's been a big topic. But I have a feeling I know the answer. The question on the chat room was, is AI helpful in any of your business? I think everyone's scrambling in real estate right now just to deal with what's in front of us in terms of interest rates and business and dealing with clients. So I have a feeling AI is kind of like out there for the next generation, maybe, but anybody, AI at this point, maybe, well, I won't ask the DEI question or the climate change question, which I do of developers a lot of times or architects. But let's move forward more in the finance arena. Let's get your take on the different sectors. All right. So David, office, clients in the office sector. Mute. Hit.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Office sector.
Yeah, I would say our clients dabble in that. That's where some of the owner users wind up being.
Right.
I think I think they're standing pat. I would say by and large, as far as office goes, most of our clients, I would want to call it, I would say that they are probably mid-career, and so they are probably in a position where they're holding on to their properties right now, not seeing a lot of activity there. To say
retail.
Retail.
And your take too, your initial, your quick thoughts on the sector.
Okay, retail. I have clients that are in that sector, and I think they're in a world of hurt.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was expecting you to say the opposite, because at all my panels, the retail feels like they've come back and now they're kind of the darling.
I think it's because of location. I think mom and pop right now, depending on location, are having elements of difficulty, but they're strong operators. I don't see them unloading. I see some perhaps repurposing,
Right.
things like that, looking for larger, looking for
Right.
tenants.
A lot of paying attention to the property, a lot of management. How about, okay, industrial, SBA, probably do a lot of good industrial stuff then, right? Owner, you,
There is, I don't have a lot of clients in the industrial space. I'm seeing a lot of people that have downsized their operations, and so I've seen them move out of their industrial space, sublease that, and find smaller flex space, I think, to a certain extent.
Gotcha. And the last one, multifamily.
Multifamily is strong, but all my clients that operate in city of LA, you know, it's just a hodgepodge of despair. I mean, it's the kind of thing where because of some strong capitalization, they're doing okay.
Right.
Certainly not looking for any more, but I've had several clients that have exchanged out of properties in city of LA for other properties elsewhere in California because they like the market. But born and raised in the city of LA, it's turning into a cesspool and it's not getting better.
We could spend hours on that topic, right? Those topics. All right, Peter, you're up next. Office, you know, just your take too. I know the bank may not be doing much in those sectors at the moment. Add that in, you know, whichever. But let's start with office. Your take on office.
Yeah, B and C office products, you know, you got a 1 and 2 story office building with, you know, a limited number of tenants. We're looking at stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, we don't mind that at all. We're going to be a little more selective if it's a single tenant in an office like that, because we're just concerned about, you know, the strength of the tenant.
Right.
If you go to industrial, we love industrial, and who doesn't love industrial these days? In fact, it's funny because the bank vastly prefers industrial over multifamily of all things. Yeah. And then retail has always been a bread and butter. We have a lot of people with expertise, myself included, in the retail world. And, you know, you still have to have neighborhood grocery stores and grocery store anchored centers. And those things are just cash cows and really do well. So our expertise in retail is just unparalleled out there in the lending environment.
And, you know, besides the downtowns, when you drive around a lot of the suburbs in LA, I'm in the Valley a lot, in the South Bay a lot, Inland Empire, you know, well-positioned retail, it's still, you have the, you know, middle spots that are, you know, always have those vacant release signs up, but seems pretty leased up. Most of the, you know, the good location areas.
Agreed.
And multifamily, did you get to that?
Multifamily, we're very lukewarm on. We just see all the problems, particularly, and I'll go back to David's comments, you know, in the city of Los Angeles, the mansion tax has just ground that market to a halt. Literally just a fair handful of transactions were done in the month of May, and it's just created this huge problem in the city of Los Angeles. They've shot themselves in the foot. They think they're going to have all this money to help the homeless, and they don't have any money because no one's paying the mansion tax because no one's selling properties.
Hey, we do have a couple questions, but I think Victor's the last one to answer this round, or did we get to Chris on the property types? We'll get you both to answer the property type ones, and then we'll get to the questions. I know Mendel, Gene have a couple. So Victor, the property types.
Yeah, like I said before, office, we're just a little bit more conservative. You know, we see the bubble in front of us. We're, I guess, with the COVID and everything like that, everyone realized you could work at home. So the office space isn't what it used to be back then. Retail, that's always a great deal for us, and we're still doing a lot of retail, light industrial. We love those as well, and auto related. You know, believe it or not, that's something that we're still doing a lot of. Multifamilies, we're still at it. You know, where it's some of the issues we got on those are just the rent control areas and you know, the increases of rents, and try to see if we could get this thing, the debt service, to what they want, but. Yeah, we're still in it. You know, that's pretty much where we're at right now.
You also hearing a lot, the mansion tax also come into play with a lot of your business.
Yeah, that's kind of consistent across, right?
It's crazy, huh? Unbelievable. It's like cutting your nose off to spite your face. Chris, I don't think I got you in on these, and then we're going to go to some of the questions from the audience. You there?
Same, a lot of that tax issues, we've heard it from, you know, just talking to our users. As far as lending, I mean, yeah, just kind of continuing off of what everyone's saying. I don't want to take too much time, but we're seeing those kind of property types as well on these deals for purchases and both in commercial and residential. And
What's the sector that excites you guys these days? Resi?
business lending, there's just a lot of programs out there right now, specifically, getting these lines of credit that are amortized now for, business unsecured, 10-year amortizations. It makes a big difference compared to, I would say this past year and a half, we were only seeing, 18-month amortization, 2-year, 3-year. That's still pretty decent if you're using the line of credit properly as a business owner, but we all know businesses got hit hard these last 3 years. They weren't keeping obviously lines of credit at 50, 60% usage. A lot of these users are refining them out of 80%, 90% usage lines that were on 1 to 3 year AMs, and now they're putting them into 5, 10-year AMs, if not at a bigger increase in lines as well. So it's really helping that aspect in the business front. So we're excited to continue to see what other loan programs on the business sector continue to come out. Equipment loans, that's the last one I want to touch on. Being only, again, we have lenders that go 3 to 6 months bank statement only. That's another uptick we've seen where a lot of businesses now want to get into, hey, let me buy that $200,000, $300,000 piece of equipment. I can get it on a 1 to 7 year term. Rates are still great, and all you need as far as documentation is 3 to 6 months of bank statements, depending on how long of a term you want, right? So we've also got excited about equipment lending. It's definitely been up. It's up there right now, and there's, I would say, 3, 4 lenders out there, not just necessarily banks. I would say online banks that are really getting, they're direct lenders. They're just in-housing it themselves, and it's looking really good.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to get to a few questions. I'll hold off on adding a few more questions until we get to some of these. So these are ones that want to be quick, and then I'll get to the guys that raise their hands. And we'll go around, and if you have nothing to add on this one, what is the market rates now for anchored tenants in retail? Any of you want to answer that? What is the market rates now for anchored tenants in retail? From Hamad. Anybody? Anchored retail. Nobody. What's the rate? No? All right. Oh, well, he did get an answer. Depending on the lenders. Any of you guys do South Florida? You guys are all West Coast for the most part, right?
Yeah,
Right.
strictly California only.
I don't know if you guys can see the same chat that I'm seeing. All right, here's one. How are you guys marketing? Do you guys do a lot in social media in terms of marketing your deals and your services? Do a quick round.
A little bit on LinkedIn.
A little bit on LinkedIn. Victor?
Yeah, a little bit on LinkedIn, and we also promote through Scotsman's Guide.
All right. Instagram, not that much yet, right? It's kind of the last one if you've got time. If my kids can do it for me. David, social
I was
media?
gonna say, I've been on Twitter for probably 12 years.
Ah,
And that's where a tremendous amount of information gets transacted. You can parse away all the stuff. You don't have to follow the world, but you'd be amazed of the what I will call the hashtag groups. There's a hashtag finance group, tax group, real estate group.
how often do you post?
And so it's the kind of thing that it just takes some searches and you find the right people. I mean, I'm involved in a lot of tax groups here, in California through my professional association, et cetera. But I've got a very, very strong tax group just sourced from Twitter.
How often do you post something on there?
Several times every day.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Chris, how about you? Social media? I think you're muted. I think he's off. Meredith, social media.
It's becoming more for blog posts and promoting events that our law firm does. I think firms still rely heavily on word of mouth referrals, existing clients, and sponsorships at events. And so they're trying, I've seen a big push towards social media becoming a more active part of the promotional side, but it's definitely in its early stages still.
Right. I think I got all of you. Yeah, Peter?
So, Steve, I want to go back to the question about retail market rents.
Right.
I'm going to answer it a little bit around, kind of circle around. Just yesterday in Huntington Beach, the Adams Marketplace Shopping Center, which is anchored by a Smart and Final Extra, just closed at a really high rate of $445 a foot. So you're seeing still some transactions out there that are way up in the market, which shows that if you've got quality tenants in that particular center, I know that center well because I used to be the lender on it. It is at 98% occupancy, which says, you know, if you've got a really great center, market rates are going to be really high. But if you've got something that's struggling a little, that's the opportunity for a value add type of investor to get in there and maybe re-tenant the property and make some money and buy it at a bargain.
Really got to know the neighborhood. All right, I'm gonna get some of these questions. Mendel, do I just unmute you there?
There we go. How you doing?
Yeah, ask your question.
So great discussion. So just a few pointers. What at least what I'm seeing in the market is obviously, like everyone said, you know, office is we're seeing a little bit of distress in that area, and what we're doing to solve that is like what Peter mentioned is these bridge loans, and the way, even though they don't debt service, if they have equity, we put a certain amount of interest reserve into the loan. So let's say they're losing some of their, like Peter was mentioning, you bring in other partners. Instead of bringing in other partners, we take some of the equity of the property and we apply that to the payments for, let's say, two years. So assuming that the market changes and interest rates get better, they're in a good position. And if it doesn't get better, at least they have time to do a proper sale if their loan is coming due. So what we're seeing, the deals that we're seeing are more distressed and more like a need, or an investor that is clever, that is able to negotiate a great term on the deal. So like we're looking at a deal that was listed for like $3 million. The buyer, you know, went into negotiations 2.6, and it's a bit of value add. He's probably going to be able to sell it once everything's done for at least 3.5. You know, so that's what we're seeing. And then another thing we're seeing is, let's say those guys, you know, those borrowers that, let's say, have an amazing interest rate and they don't want to give that up. So that's creating a problem with, you know, moving of inventory. I'm sure Peter sees that and all the other guys. So people want to sit in their property. They don't want to sell. So that's creating a low inventory situation. But it's eventually people are just going to have to do their plans. If they're planning to move out of state, they're going to have to move out of state or something like that. But another thing we're seeing is seconds. So let's say people that have those low interest rates and are like, you know, I don't want to ever like refi at 2.75. I met someone yesterday I was at the Los Angeles City Hall. They had this new ordinance for wildlife. So they're trying to limit the amount of square footage being built in like the, you know, the mountains in you know, the hills. So they're trying to limit, basically, if you have a 7,500 square foot home lot, they're trying to limit the square footage to 2,000. So I was there networking. It's ridiculous, huh?
More regulations.
Yeah. And I actually had the lead lawyer for the LA tax. I interviewed him on my podcast, Keith Fromm. So I had him. So he's the guy leading they're actually still fighting the tax. They're trying to make that anyone that does sell, the money goes into escrow account, some sort of a third party account, till they can appeal it. So that's just okay. But to summarize everything, I think just for a raise of hands, how many people over here still work from home? So just curious. Okay, not so many.
Yeah, I think everyone does, but doesn't want to admit it. I think Paulson was in the office before. Hey, but Mendel, we got a few more hands up and I want to make sure everyone gets their time in. So was
Yeah,
there,
so,
we
so
good?
just to summarize, we are dealing right now with a $10 million refi at a commercial property that had a vacancy during COVID. So that's where we're coming in. If you need anything, reach out to me.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, Gene, I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna unmute you, Gene. Did you have a question?
Right, have a question.
Hey, Gene, where are you from? Introduce
Well, I
yourself.
was just gonna tell you, my company, Success Investments, we're located in Santa Monica. I left a mortgage bank back in 2000. A matter of fact, I've known Victor ever since he was a puppy. And I brought his bank along with me when I started Success Investments, and yeah, they've been a mainstay. So
Nice to meet you
it's my main
virtually, so
picture.
welcome aboard.
but my question is, I'm a member, a board of director on a real estate board, and everyone's asking me how we're gonna treat these ADUs. Or these tiny houses.
Right, the ADUs,
I don't have an answer for them.
the dwelling units, right?
Dwelling units. Some of them, for example, they have maybe a 3-unit building, and they're adding an ADU in the back. Now they're saying they have 4 units, or they have 5, and they're gonna have 6. But their question: are we gonna view them on the commercial side or not? And that's a question I can't answer.
All right, see if anyone put your hands up from the panel, or if not, people who are listening and have answers could put it in the chat room. You guys all watching the chat room here. So Peter, go ahead. I saw your hand up.
So Gene, I've got a specific example that I looked at a while back on a multifamily property, had 7 units and down in the San Diego area. And what they wanted to do was add 7 more units onto this property by converting the garages into additional units. And we looked at this transaction and we said, you know, we're kind of common sense lenders. And we sat there and looked in the geographic area immediately surrounding, the couple of blocks surrounding, and said, you take away those 7 parking spots and you're creating a problem for the neighborhood. We turned the transaction down. So it is a commercial type of transaction a lot of times with some of these ADU type of situations. You just got to be really careful as to what you're doing, and the cities may want to do it, but they've got to solve parking issues, and that's a problem unique to the Southern California area, you know, with parking.
That's a good question. Anybody else? Any thoughts on that? CPA, attorney? All right. Gene, you good?
Good.
All right.
Give me something. I'm just gonna stay out of it. I'm just gonna stay out of it.
Sometimes in California, that's sometimes the unfortunate answer.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't. I tell them I'm their commercial loan expert, but in this case, I'm telling them I'm their dummy. So
Good seeing you, Gene.
Aman, I'm coming to you next. I'm gonna unmute you if you're listening there. I don't see your face, but Aman, was that an AI question, I think?
No, I'm the one who asked about the retail with Anchor. The feedback we got was the price for retail with Anchor. I was looking more for what the interest rate market is for retail that's coming up for refi.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was interest rate as opposed to rental rate.
Yeah, so if somebody can give us an idea.
Yeah.
Repeat the question one more time so everyone hears the
So
question.
what kind of interest rates can we expect on retail, which are anchored at this time?
Anchored retail interest rates.
Yeah.
Peter.
So we're doing variable rate lending right now. Basically, we have a program called Farmers and Merchants Prime, and normally we price that about 0.5% below Wall Street Journal Prime. So if Wall Street Journal is at 8.25%, we would normally be pricing that at 7.75. But right now we held the line on the last 2 Fed rate increases. So actually our FMB prime is 7.25%. Not bad, not great, but it's, you know, it's in the market, and we have a few refinances that we're doing for existing clients at that 7.25% rate.
Are you getting better rates for long-term loans, especially if you've got long-term tenants with Anchor?
Now we're still pricing it right at FMB prime.
Okay.
If you're looking for lower interest rates, then you're going to have to lock in with like a life insurance company. You're going to see rates in the low sixes with life insurance companies that are fixed for a long time. But if you ever want to get out of that, God help you with the prepayment penalties.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question I wanted to ask you guys is, given that the rates have gone up quite a bit, and you mentioned if you got loans that may have a couple of years before maturity, you probably could get out without a big prepayment penalty right now. So is it better to wait a year or two before you refi, or try to get a deal now? Does
You're
that make
rolling
sense?
the dice. I don't have an answer for you. If I knew that answer, I'd be a rich man.
Yeah, and just to answer about the rates, all our rates are based off the prime as well. So, but today in today's market, we're at 7.25 on our 6-month ARM. We also have a 7.5 on a 3-year fix, 7.75 on a 5-year fix, and 8% on a 7-year fix deal. All our loans do have a prepayment penalty that matches the fixed term. So once a fixed term is over, it doesn't balloon, but you're able to refinance it and get out of that.
All right, well, I noticed we're getting down to the final few minutes, so I want to circle around again and give everyone a chance to give a kind of closing thought issue, that we haven't discussed, maybe that you want to highlight, or, closing thought on a summary of what we have discussed. So Meredith, let's start with you there.
Yeah, I think just, it's a time for a lot of creative solutions. There's a lot of problems out there. There's a lot of issues that we haven't seen for quite a long time coming up. And I think the more creativity that my clients have displayed, the better outcome they get. And always, not to plug the legal world, but always remembering to make sure those solutions are legally sounded in your best interest under agreements that you have in place. And I think there's a synergy between legal and business right now that comes out of these downturns where we all work together and find reasonable and safe solutions for, the problems that we're all facing. So
So
that's my takeaway.
It is complicated these days. Chris, are you there? Did you have something that you can add?
Yeah, hopefully again, no connection issues. Apologies again for that today,
I'm
guys.
good now.
Yeah, awesome. So agree. I think we're getting to that middle to end part of this turn down. There's going to be a lot of assets, in my opinion, continuing to not be able to be renewed at certain banks. Some of them will have balloon payments. We already see some commercial deals in trouble where sellers are trying to just get the fastest deal, and that's helping a lot of private and hard money lending, definitely, because of you have 14 days and you can close this deal, and 30% cheaper than the market. And I think 2024 we'll start seeing, I think by summer, a little bit of where rates can dip again, to probably where they should be in, like well below like mid fives, I would say, as far as that. So
All right, David, you're next. Hit the mute. Yeah.
With regard to rates, it's I wind up just kind of sitting on the sideline and watching all this stuff happen. What's tough is we have to find new ways to make a deal work, and really what it comes down to is can we generate cash flow through, as an example, maybe suggesting a cost segregation study, something like that, especially on an acquisition, because generating that, creating a reduced tax obligation creates the cash flow that can sometimes offset the deal killing nature of the higher rates. And so at the end of the day, I kind of am more reactive to seeing what happens with the rates. I'd like to think that they're going to taper soon. I don't think we're done seeing them go up, but the inflation reports seem to be getting better. And what I discuss with my operating clients in terms of what they're dealing with is, I think they're seeing their costs start to taper off as well.
Great. Remember to contact all these people, get all their contact information, afterwards. Peter,
Cash is king, and as long as you've got a bunch of cash, you can do well in this market. If you're a leverage junkie, you're not going to do so hot.
right? And then Victor, take us home. I think we're right there near the end point.
Yeah, yeah, just the same here, it's just, just we gotta ride the market the way it is right now, and hopefully the market gets better and we'll be back to lending at higher amounts and getting those better deals. But I want to thank you, Stephen, for moderating everything today. It's and
Hey,
aren't even putting this thing together. So I know this is about to end right now, but I just want to
it's been fun. I don't know what happens. I think at 11, he said, we're all gonna get yanked into the other room. I wanted to be done. I don't want anyone to be in mid-sentence.
Good job.